All right, well, guess what? We find ourselves in a cold open, which means one thing and one thing only. I have updates on luminol. You ready, Kate?
Hit me.
Okay, so it turns out that not only blood shows up when you spray with luminol, but mayonnaise and some cleaning products can give a false reading as being blood. Some cleaning, now the mayonnaise thing is hilarious. I mean, if you've got mayonnaise on your wall or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, it's egg and oil.
Is there iron in there or something? I mean, I think that's what's in the blood that sticks around. But here's my thing, though. Like, mayonnaise, that's interesting, but I'm concerned about cleaning products. It kind of sounds like luminol can't be trusted.
Yeah, because everybody cleans their house. I mean, at least they should.
That's true, they should.
That could be a really good ad campaign for Miracle Whip.
That would be good. Wait, there was something else. Oh, this is a double. So you remember how you taught me about striations?
Yeah.
Okay, so those striations are called lands and grooves. I learned that from FF. The idea is that no gun barrel is the same, and they do that on purpose as a security measure, right? Mm-hmm. How long have they been doing this to bullets? And how do they know that they've never been repeated? Because it's like there's only a finite number of options for a number of lands and grooves in a circle, right?
Well, what about keys?
Keys might open up other doors. Like, this sends you to prison. I can't believe I haven't heard one lawyer go, you sure?
I don't think there is a finite amount then. There has to be infinite.
Because it's a circle, they're like, there's no edges or something?
Well, it's kind of like the grooves of a record, right? Like, that's a circle, and there's, like, rings on it, like a tree.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll buy it. It seems wild to me that if they've been checking this for at least 130 years, yeah? Because my mom was watching an episode of The Virginian, and they were doing it on there, and that show's set in the 1800s or something. And when you're looking for accuracy, Kate, what do you go to? Reruns of The Virginian on MeTV, right?
Oh, at least it's not Outlander.
You don't like that show?
No. I'm sorry if that alienates a very large part of our audience.
Do people still watch that? I know it was big a few years ago, but
Oh, they do.
it's still big?
Yeah, people love it. People we know, whose opinions we respect, like it.
No. Who is it? Dylan. No. Rhino.
I'm not trying to blow up anybody's spot.
Oh, come on. Come on, blow it up. I won't put it in.
It's
Ah! Okay. Whose spot you have no problem blowing up about being attracted to the Boston Marathon bomber.
Oh, good call.
Right?
I'm Lester Holt.
All right, so we're doing an old one. We're doing another From the Vault today.
Here's Dennis Murphy.
This time we're going way back in the vault to season 18, episode 30. It aired March 19th, 2010, Death of a Golden Girl. Dateline investigates the murder of model and aspiring Playboy playmate Paula Sladewski, whose charred body was discovered in a Miami dumpster. And no reviews this time. I checked. No reviews. However, it does have a cast list. So I got a question to ask you later when we talk about people in this episode.
Okay.
But anyway, so Kate, this was your pick this week. Why'd you pick this one? And why don't you tell us how it all unfolded?
I chose this one because it's the oldest episode available on Peacock.
Yep.
I did not realize, however, that it was the exact same episode that features our boy Murph Dog saying boom shakalaka.
Paula Sladewski was boom shakalaka.
Boom, shackle. This was the one.
This
was the one.
That's pure coincidence.
It was so hard for me not to text any. That's why all I could bring myself to say was, when you watch this episode, you will text me. I promise. That's all I can let myself do. There must be 200 episodes streaming on Peacock of Dateline.
Yeah.
Right? At least. And you picked the one that I referenced, the episode 4. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I feel like it's boom shakalaka. Murph Dog says something like that.
Okay, so first thoughts on the app. What'd you think?
Well, this, at least when this episode aired, it was technically still unsolved, which I feel like is unusual for Dateline.
This is definitely our first one.
But I won't be surprised if you hit me right now with a, well, I read a book by the murderer, or actually, FF did this one, and what do you got?
Well, I did my digging. Not one book, and guess what? This case is still unsolved. Can you believe that?
That's wild.
Yeah, especially for such a normal type murder. Do you know what? It was a club goer who got murdered, and then.
And when we get into it later, we'll see how there were some potential avenues of investigation that, I guess, just led nowhere. I don't know.
Believe me, I thought the same thing. I thought this was 13 years ago. There's got to be an update. There's got to be a book. There's going to be at least another show about this. There wasn't even that, Kate. There wasn't even that. I mean, real talk, if I had known this was open-ended, in general, I avoid those things because I like me some closure.
I wouldn't have picked it.
Exactly. I'm glad you did, though. I'm glad you did, because I was saying I didn't want to be too mean about the guy, and I feel like I've come around on him. I'm not mad at him anymore.
Murph Dog?
No, I'm Murph Dog. Oh, he had some Murph Dog gems this episode.
He sure did.
He really did. He was firing on all Murph Dog cylinders.
So first off, this episode opens with some classic stock footage of South Beach, Miami. So we got tan bodies and bikinis.
Dutch angles.
Yup. I don't care what year the footage is from. It somehow always looks like it's from the 80s. Right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not.
Yep.
Because the effects and the Dutch angles that they always put on this footage to portray a sizzling nightlife and soaring temperatures.
Yep.
It just always gives it such a dated Miami Vice feel.
It does. It's funny you say that about the 80s in Miami, because you know that Miami Vice is the reason Miami looks like that. They painted those pastels on Michael Mann's suggestion for the show Miami Vice, and then they kept them.
Miami didn't look like that before Miami Vice?
Not those colors. I learned that during Pop-Up. I popped the Will Smith Miami song. Found that little info out.
I was going to say that later on in the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In my notes, I have I'll still do it.
Okay, good.
I've actually been on a Michael Mann kick lately. Heat and Manhunter back to back.
Oh, Manhunter.
Yeah.
So good, right?
I don't have the use of my arms.
It's not streaming for free right now, which is annoying.
Oh, that's why you gotta own it on Blue.
Yeah, I don't have the blues like you do.
You gotta get on it. It's coming around now. People are starting to realize the error of their ways.
They are, actually.
Trust in streaming.
Yeah.
I know. It feels good. Now, I'll still be destitute and homeless eventually with all my blues, but it will be worth it, Kate, because I will have physical copies of movies.
Well, you'll have them until your tent gets robbed.
You're right.
Just you and me now, sport.
I loved, because one, I'm with you. Like, as soon as that stock shot opened, I was lit up and ready to party.
Yep.
But the tune also got me going. It's like one of those songs where they go like, It's like a Paul Simon song or something.
With a didgeridoo? Yeah. All right. Some world beats?
Yeah.
How did you like Murph Dog straight up blaming Lady Gaga for this murder?
Thank you. He straight up blamed Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Just like if Andrea had stayed in the pool, she'd still be alive.
If she'd only stayed in the water a little longer.
If Lady Gaga hadn't decided to play this show at the Fontainebleau Hotel, then Paula would still be alive.
Yes.
Maybe if Lady Gaga hadn't been booked at the Fontainebleau Hotel for New Year's Eve, Paula wouldn't have insisted on that last-minute trip to Miami.
That is not true.
No, not at all.
It happened on a different night.
So it wasn't even the same venue.
Yeah.
So
let's jump in.
Okay.
Paula and Kevin are a couple from Detroit. Mm-hmm. They've been together for about 2 years, and these two really like to party.
Yep.
Paula, she once dreamed of modeling and being in Playboy, and then she did enter a Playboy contest and made it pretty far, but ultimately didn't take home the gold.
No, but...
Although, as the episode states, she was still a golden girl. You see what I did there?
That was nice. I've got a question for you and for Hugh Hef. Why... The word golden girls means one thing. Golden girls. Right? I mean, don't use it to describe naked ladies on a magazine.
Yeah, but she was blonde and tan, and she looked golden.
Oh, I get why Dateline did it. I'm not blaming them. Hugh, in the episode, says on the archival footage, I'm looking for my golden girl.
Looking for a golden girl.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I thought that word is owned now by sassy ladies that are super funny.
By B. Arthur and B. Arthur only.
Why don't you just blow it out your ditty bag?
So anyways, they're from Detroit, and they go down there to celebrate their anniversary. So really, they were only dating 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was off and on, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. They wouldn't be together today if she was still alive. I'll tell you that right
No, and we'll learn the details of their relationship as we go.
Yeah. Okay. They head to Miami, and
they go down for New Year's and for an anniversary trip to do some proper partying. And they stay at a fancy hotel, although the hotel that we see Kevin walking around in the B-roll is not fancy. No. So I'm guessing the real place didn't want them there.
Yeah, that sounds very true.
And then he shells out about $1,400 for them to see Lady Gaga.
Pricey, but whatever baby wants.
They got to go see Gaga because all the celebs are going to be there. So they go there, they have a good time, and we know they went because somebody behind them taped them at the show, which will come into play of my opinion on this guy. And I mean, he was clearly housed.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Did you see his face in that video? I mean, I was like, dude.
Here's this guy who was really obnoxious and pushing through his crowd more so than anyone else I saw there.
I don't know. Anyway, so.
Well, it's Miami.
You're right. But although, as Murph Dog pointed out, Hey, beautiful blondes are a dime a dozen. Why are you looking at this one?
Raymond, we're talking about Miami. Girls like that are a dime a dozen, right?
She really stood out. Back in Detroit, she was actually a pretty successful dancer at a popular strip club, and she attracted attention wherever she went.
Yep. I didn't like the way Murph Dog was talking about her job, is all. I don't think he was like, I don't know.
Kelly doesn't make apologies for her sister's lifestyle choice. The strip bars, the booze, the pills.
Just, talking about how her sister's not embarrassed of her because of her choices or whatever. You hear me?
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I don't know, but.
So the next night, so what were you saying?
Well, I was going to bring up her sister, but should I wait?
Oh, that's coming.
Okay. Sounds like you're in the driver's seat today. I love it.
I am. The next night, they have their romantic anniversary dinner and go home, sleep for a little bit, and then hit the club at 5:30 a.m. And this is the kind of club that's like, it starts in the middle of the night and goes all through the following next day. So it's not unusual.
Yeah, they're only open
at those weird hours.
For a day and a half a week. Yeah.
So this was not unusual. This was not like, oh, they're crazy. It's like, no, this is when you go to that club.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what happens at the club, Kurt?
Well, they continue to get drunk, and then he puts his arm around her because some other guy has. This is where my eyes start to roll. Kevin. His name is Kevin Klym, by the way. The only cool thing about this guy is his name and how he spells it. Klym, Klym. That's pretty sweet. Isn't that cool?
Oh, I thought it was Klyn.
Nope.
Kevin Klym.
Some guys were getting handsy, so he's like, all right, it's time to go. So he tries to get Paula to go out, and she says, no, I'm staying. And he grabs her arm, and that's when the bouncers pounce and say, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Come on, baby, it's time to go. Do the boyfriend shuffle with her kind of thing.
Now, my opinion is they were looking for a reason to kick him out of there, and they found one. What do you think?
I don't know. It felt... They said that they have to break up a lot of fights in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of feels like maybe it was just routine, and maybe they weren't necessarily looking for a reason, but they don't need to hear explanations.
Yeah.
It happens so often that they're like, nope, you're out. And it's interesting that their policy at that club is that if there's some kind of disturbance happening, both parties involved have to leave.
Well, he got kicked out a lot faster than she did, though. Am I wrong?
So this is where it gets weird.
Okay.
This is where the stories get confusing.
All right.
According to Kevin, he decides that he will leave and that Paula can stay because she wants to stay and keep partying. So he's like, it's all right, I'll go. So he leaves around 7:30 a.m. and he still has her cell phone in his pocket because club dresses don't have pockets. And from there, he goes back to the hotel and he sleeps. And he figures that she'll come back on her own. She does this a lot. I guess they get separated sometimes and she'll want to stay out and do her thing. And it's never been an issue before. And they're from the mean streets of Detroit. And as you know, Kurt, it is so cold in the D.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that reference?
Mm-mm.
Because that's where you're going to put a soundbite in later.
Oh, okay. All right. We can tell me what it is, or you can make me Google it.
It's like a really... I don't want you to put this explanation in, but it's like a really... It's so cold in the deep. So Kevin starts calling hospitals and jails, and he files a missing persons report, even though, once again, he's told
Tries
by the
to.
police that he has to wait 24 hours to do so, which again might be the dumbest rule in the history of policing.
Yeah, and they got caught up by the jurisdiction bull too. Like, where he reported it was different from where Club Space was. So that's why there was a delay there as well. So it's just the same old right?
But isn't it all Miami-Dade County? Don't they all talk to each other? What is going on?
Yeah, I mean...
Like, how would you know what precinct you're in at any given moment?
I don't know, but also, how's she supposed to get home without her phone? I mean, I know Uber was in 2010, but were they walkable? Like, I mean, how do we feel about him leaving her? I mean...
It may have been walkable.
Okay.
Because South Beach, walking up and down that strip, maybe there's a lot of taxis constantly running that whole route, but I've never been to Miami, so I don't know. So then Kevin hires a private detective who gets to work interviewing people who may have been at the club that night.
Yeah, because the cops say we can't do it for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? So he says private detective time. Love it.
But that is Kevin's story, at least. That's his version of how it all went down.
Okay. What's the alternative version? Oh, you mean like her version, like when he killed her or something?
I mean other eyewitnesses and employees at the club.
Yeah. Okay.
So meanwhile, cops find a dumpster on fire a few blocks away, and inside they find her body. And she is dead and has been burned. Yep. And this happened, I think they find this dumpster in the morning hours. It's not too long after. There's, like you said, a communication issue with trying to figure out this is the person that was reported missing, and then the missing person's report isn't filed until the next day, and we had this body in the morgue, and they have to fit the pieces with her jewelry to figure out who it is.
Yeah, and the way that they made it sound, he was down there for a few days looking for her. So I feel like there were a few days where they found her. They had her. They just didn't know who she was, and he's out there looking and stuff.
But he didn't call morgues. He called hospitals and jails.
Well, you know what? One time I thought my roommate was missing, and I called a hospital. I didn't think to call a morgue. I don't know. Well,
I guess one hopes that it's not going to come to that.
Yeah. But that's what you're saying. They would have called the morgue and been like, "Hey, what's up?"
I think if he had called the morgue during that first round of phone calls, they would have been like, "Oh, we have someone that matches that here."
Yeah, I can see that. I have a solution for this missing persons thing. It seems to me no cop ever wants to fill out a missing persons report because, according to them, they're always bullshit. Now, you and I both know that that's false, and they're all lazy sacks. But what if it was one person's job to look for missing people? So you're a cop, right? Cops are in murders, they're in theft, they're in drugs. Can there be someone whose only job it is to investigate missing persons? What do you think?
I think that would compel people to file reports, since a lot of people know they won't be taken seriously, and it probably discourages them from filing. And I don't think there should be a wait 24 hours rule, because in that time, those are precious hours where you can be looking for someone.
Yeah.
If there's some kind of police procedural on TV and someone's in trouble, they're looking for that person immediately, and they find them before something bad happens to them.
You're right.
That never, ever happens in real life, because they won't even start looking for a couple days.
And if they're still alive, they were the ones that perpetrated it for like a scam or something. I feel like that's the only way they're still alive. It is ridiculous. Just like how DNA, everybody knows what it is. I feel like everybody knows that the first 48 hours are the most important in an investigation. Like, there's a show called that, right? Well, and there's another show called that. There's the Dateline wannabe, 48 hours, correct? But I'm thinking of the detective one. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like on ID or whatever, the first 48.
Right. Every minute counts.
Yeah, I don't watch that shit. I don't know. I think if there was somebody assigned to be the missing persons, if for some reason it's true that 1,000 people a day say, "Oh, I'm missing my kid, never mind, he was in the bathroom." If that's true, show me the receipts and I'll walk away.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Me neither. Okay.
I think you're onto something.
All right. Missing persons. We solved it. All right. So the body's she's burnt to a crisp. Kevin is flipping out. Cops are suspicious.
Yeah. They go around and start interviewing people. And this is where we meet a bartender at the club named Raymond.
She was so blonde.
And also a bouncer.
Yep, 100% by herself.
And then the owner of the club.
It wasn't the guy.
Which to me felt like overkill. Like he wants to make sure his club's image isn't tainted.
Yeah.
More than express his concern for Paula.
That guy had some real sleepy eyes. Didn't he?
He just didn't have anything to contribute.
No.
I don't even know why they bothered interviewing him.
I don't know.
And the bouncers tell a story that's a little bit different from Kevin's in terms of the timeline. So they say that Kevin and Paula were essentially kicked out at the same time. And there was no like, I'll go, you stay. There was none of that.
Well, Kevin tried, but Paula said no.
According to the bouncers, like, they both had to leave at the same time. And Kevin walked out the door first. Surveillance video shows them leaving separately, but they're leaving within like the same 2 minutes. So it wasn't like Kevin's gonna leave and Paula's gonna stay and party.
Yes, it was. That's exactly what it was, though.
That's what Kevin said it was. The surveillance and the bouncers are like, no, they left we kicked them out at the same time.
Okay, so maybe his story is trying to make him look a little bit better. You're thinking that maybe he like stormed out or was like, fine, I'm out of here. He wasn't like, please give me my girlfriend, she's drunk. We need to go home.
I think they were probably both hot messes.
Yep.
He doesn't really remember what exactly happened. And one of the bouncers saw her go outside and walk across the street hand in hand with a mystery man. And at this point, Kevin, even though he had only left a few minutes earlier, he was long gone. And he later said, if only I had stayed and waited outside, but I didn't know how long, she was going to be in there or whatever. And it's like, no, she was literally right behind you. Like, you were just on some bullshit. I don't know.
But also,
it's shady.
Yeah, I mean, he's leaving his girlfriend. I mean, even if she is being drunk, belligerent, or whatever, he's still leaving his girlfriend at 7 a.m. at a club.
Mm-hmm.
If she doesn't want to go or whatever, wait outside and watch that door for her to come out, right? I mean, I don't know. The whole thing seems doomed. He
said he regretted not doing that, but it really only would have been a 2-minute wait.
Yeah, and we find out that Kevin is suicidal because we hear that from Paula's sister, who I think is the all-star of this episode, Kelly.
Paula's sister, Kelly. Okay, so
love her.
Murph Dog has a weird thing with Kelly and her money.
Okay.
Paula's sister Kelly is in Detroit when this happens, and Murph Dog makes a point of saying Kelly paid her own way down to Miami to help with the investigation.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Dennis, who else is going to pay for her flight? Miami PD? The f***?
Yeah.
And then later, he says that she put down $15,000 of her own money for the reward.
You're right.
Yeah, Murph, who else's money would she be putting down?
Yeah.
He just cannot believe that this woman has money.
Yeah, you're right. He is shocked. But she is awesome and an all-star through and through, and it all started years ago when Paula, as a 14-year-old, was dating a 29-year-old. Okay, the mom doesn't report it. She's got no beef with it whatsoever.
She's not exactly Mother of the Year.
No, she's not.
She's got a revolving door of stepdads.
Another Murph Dog thing that he loved to say.
With an absent father and lots of stepdads.
So she's 14, dating this 29-year-old. Mom's got no problem with it. Kelly, the older sister, though, says, no f***ing way. She calls Child Protective Services. They come over, they arrest the guy, he does 2 years in prison. That's awesome. Like, already, that's a slow clap. Because she's like, Mom, you're not going to do it, then I am. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, she rules. She rules.
But he and Paula dated again once he served his sentence. And Paula turned 18.
Well, that's the thing. As soon as he got out of jail and she was of legal age, she dated him again. If I was Kelly, the sister, I would just be like...
I liked learning this because we got to learn about how Kelly's a badass. But none of that backstory about Paula dating someone much older was important at all. It had nothing to do with this. And I think they told us about it so they could briefly bring that guy up again as a possible suspect. When they were talking about
the red herring later.
Yeah.
The text.
But it was weak. They barely touched on it. And it's a totally unnecessary segment that actually felt like they wanted something salacious in there. And it made everybody kind of look bad and trashy. And it was like, Dateline, y'all are tacky.
Oh, yeah. And I'm putting that squarely on Murph Dog's shoulders. I think that's his call. Because it is tacky as hell. And that it opens with them teasing this taken in secret video.
Find a secretly recorded video.
Either they're talking about the concert footage or the security cam, and neither of them are
a secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, again, that's a ding against Murph Dog right there.
Yeah, I thought that whole segment was completely unnecessary.
You're right, though. I feel like they did include it just so that they could have the misdirect later. I think that's the sole purpose.
But the misdirect was like one sentence long. It was hardly anything.
But what a sentence it was, because how did old Murph Dog describe the age of the text? Do you remember? He said...
No, I don't.
The text was moldy old.
It was moldy old, and the shaky source of it was the same boyfriend.
Moldy old.
So's Murph.
Yeah. Wait, did you tell me you heard him say iPhone vid? Later he says iPhone videos, but the first time he says it, he says iPhone vid.
Vid?
Yes, just vid, shortened.
Hello, fellow kids.
Exactly.
How do you do?
Yeah.
Guy behind them who took iPhone vids of them dancing.
Well, we do learn some backstory. So it turns out Paula and Kevin be fighting. They've both been arrested in the past for domestic violence against each other.
Yep.
But they always manage to work it out. And they show a clip of Paula catching the bouquet at Kelly's wedding. And did you notice how everybody in that clip, nobody else was trying to catch that bouquet? They all just stood aside and let her have it. Like, it was basically thrown right to her.
Wow, I don't know. Maybe she's the only single one in the family.
Maybe.
Right? Like, they knew who they were throwing it to.
So back in Miami, the police release a sketch of a possible suspect, the man seen hand in hand with Paula when she left. And immediately I'm like, wait, that sketch looks like the bartender, Raymond, that we met earlier. And then Kevin says he thought it looked like one of the guys that worked at the club too. So I was like, ooh. And then nobody says anything more about it. So I was like, oh, I guess me then.
Yeah, what did you think of the employees of Club Space that they talked to? Because they weren't a fan of Kevin, which I don't blame him. The drunk boyfriend, right? They're sick of this. They deal with this. Well, I guess they only deal with it once a week. But you think that they were on the up and up?
I would have thought they were if the club owner wasn't in this. But he's clearly saving face, trying to be like, we're a family.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin's mistaken. The same people work the same shift every week. We know everybody.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, nah, I went back and it was a whole different crew. I mean, that's not the kind of... It's one night a week. You're not going to have the same crew there every time.
Yeah, and it was also the middle of the day. I mean, a Dateline crew was with them. So, like, something tells me that the bouncers at 2 p.m. aren't the same as the ones at 3 a.m. But... maybe. I don't know.
It's wild that she left the club at 7:30 a.m. in daylight with people all over the place.
I know.
And somehow got murdered and put in a dumpster and set on fire just blocks away and nobody saw anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those clubs along that street have surveillance cameras. But yet there's only one grainy-ass angle from inside that club of Paula heading the door. It doesn't make sense. Who followed up on all of that other surveillance?
Well, they found one other one, right? It was them in a parking lot later, right? I feel like there was one more, but I'm with you. There should have been a hell of a lot more because it's like the main strip or whatever.
Again, I haven't been. I don't really know the logistics, but it had 3 clubs right next to it. That seems like a pretty hoppin' area where you'd want surveillance.
Yeah, and especially, where was his trash can? Was it like a gas station? Like, how are you setting a trash can on fire and there's no cameras around? Like a dumpster? A dumpster's got to be by business.
Right, and we did see the real one. It was like by a chain link fence behind a building or something.
Yeah, now the guy that Kevin suspected, he said that it looked like an employee or somebody at the club that night. And the bouncer or the guy said, insane. That's absolutely insane.
That's insane.
Do you remember how Kevin went incognito? Because when he went back with Dateline, remember he went undercover by wearing like a newsboy cap or whatever?
Was it just
you don't remember him
in a hat? Like he changed nothing else? He just put on a hat.
He put on a dumb hat. Like crooked and stuff. And it was like, he went in there undercover. I was like, that ain't undercover, boys.
Master of disguise. Master.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
I thought that the photos they showed of her as a teenager looked just like Baby One More Time era Britney.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Paula was a pretty girl.
I gotta give her credit. Like, you look at them two together and you think, like, this lucky dope is funding this girl's ride or something like that, like it's a sugar daddy or mommy or whatever, but it was her money from stripping.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, what was their... I don't understand what they got out of each other, because she didn't... Did she think she wanted to stick around with him? Like,
I don't know.
This guy just seemed like a real zero to me. I just, like... What'd you think of him? I don't know.
Well, he had some questionable facial hair.
Yes. Well, you gotta define that chin, Kate.
Yeah.
You gotta define that chin.
Well, maybe their attraction was very sexual because they didn't seem to really get along very well. So maybe it was more of like a passionate sexual connection and not so much things in common, or I don't know. It feels like she could have had her pick and she chose to be with him. So there's got to be a reason.
It's probably because when she says that I need those Gaga tickets, she says, "You got it, babe." Right?
Yeah.
She had to go to Lady Gaga.
But again, it was her money, probably, right? I mean, he didn't have a job. Because his budding mortgage company went under.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was budding.
I'm sure it was really successful.
It was budding a lot. It was such a strong butter. And then that stupid thing happened. What's it called? Crash? You know what I'm talking about. 2008.
The economic crash of 2008?
That's the one. The suspect that Kevin thinks was in the club. Do you remember why the bartender was positive that guy's never set foot in club space? Because he was wearing shorts. Shorts. They
have a dress code there, and they will not let anyone in who's in flip-flops and shorts. And you know what?
Bullshit.
That is bullshit. It is Miami.
Yes. Yeah.
They'll let anyone in who has money and is looking to party and can pull like a big crowd of sexy women. Like, that's all they want. They want hot girls in there and dudes with money.
Yeah, I'm not buying it for a second that they would turn anybody away with any bit of name recognition because they had shorts on. No way.
Also, he could have taken pants off and put on shorts.
Yeah, that's true.
He could have been in the club that whole time wearing pants and then saw that they were getting kicked out and was like, this is my chance. He changes.
Unzipped them.
Yeah.
No, they're like the Old Navy pants.
Totally.
Well, one, that club can go f itself because I'm not going to a place that says no shorts. That's all.
About a 9 on the tension scale, Rube.
I'll respect no sandals. I'm cool with that. No shorts though? No, thank you.
Well, I'm not going to a club at all anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Is it fair? Same here. And also, it's not like they miss my business because I don't drink. So I'd be in there buying like a Diet Coke for $2.50. So they really miss my green.
Same. Same.
Yeah.
I am very skeptical of the people working in that club. And I don't know who, I don't have any kind of theory as to who did it, but it was, I think, someone involved with the club, whether it was an employee or one of their usuals, their regulars, and someone that had been talking to Paula the whole night, because she's not going to just go hand in hand with some rando as soon as she steps outside. It was someone that was probably like whoever caused their fight and was flirting with her, making eyes, and she was probably like being like kind of down, and then Kevin flipped out and she went off with him.
Yeah, I'll give this credit to Kevin. When I first saw him, I had a real quick opinion of what I thought of him. And then you got to know him, and I think better of him than I did before the episode started. Like, he seems like a nicer guy than I gave him credit for. All the bar employees are exactly the guys I thought they would be. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I just hearing them talk, I was like, I get these dudes. I've got their number.
They're shady.
They're shady. I mean, I'm not saying it makes them murderers. It doesn't make them murderer. It makes them fucking dickheads, I think. That's just me.
And that's also not to say that Kevin isn't a shady dickhead either.
Yes. But I don't think, I mean, let's get to it. I don't think he killed her.
No.
I think Kevin is super innocent.
I agree. I don't think he killed her.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything he did was suspicious.
Nope. Well, other than leaving her. But they were both hammered and it was 7 a.m. Mistakes are made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And when I was looking it up, I was thinking like, this hasn't been solved yet, which is nuts. But it makes me believe him more that he hasn't been caught in the last 13 years. Because maybe it's just my opinion of it. I don't think he'd be able to pull it off. I just think he would have gotten busted by now had he done it, right?
Yeah, because it seems like such an open and shut case.
Yeah!
If it was him, they would know.
So why the hell hasn't this been solved? Why hasn't this been like, somebody's pet case and stuff? Like, I don't understand how this can go under the radar.
I think this episode sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You were not a fan of it.
No, I don't like when they're unsolved. I think that's a different show.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I didn't like Murph's attitude towards these people.
Nope.
And it was just weak. There wasn't like a clear-cut villain that I could be like, ugh, the guy.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's open-ended. It's too open-ended. There's too many questions because it's not solved. But there was missing stuff to it where I wanted another chapter to it or something. So, okay. So, real quick about the mom. So the mom said, I don't care. She can 29-year-olds. That's fine. She's 14, whatever. But the mom didn't believe Kevin. So it's like she draws a line in the sand there. Right? But like, meanwhile, she has no problem with this 29-year-old sleeping with someone who's 15 years younger than him.
Yeah, but Kevin's a dirtbag.
Kevin's a dirtbag. Now, here is my question. This is the only kind of bombshell I have. It's not really a bombshell. Cast list on IMDb. It's got all the names here. Helpful for us. Raymond Diaz. That's his name. Listed here is Patsy Watkins' self, Paula's mother. Now, maybe you're thinking there was a picture or something, or archival footage. No, because those people, like Hugh Hefner and Paula, they're credited as archive footage. So this tells me that they had an interview with Patsy, but they cut it, right?
I remember an interview with her.
What? Seriously?
Or am I mixing up my episodes?
But don't you think they would have asked her about why she didn't report him if that were true? Like, I feel like that would have been the time where they introduced Patsy Watkins.
Yeah, maybe they did do that interview and it went south real quick.
I'll bet because I feel like that's not like she was in another episode. Her full name is listed here, right? Like somebody saw an episode list, like a production thing or something, and her name was on it at some point.
But I swear I remember seeing a clip of her with her current husband.
What?
I think we need to go back and look at this one.
Oh, well, I want to know for sure now. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll leave a little space here. Future Kurt was Patsy Watkins in this episode. Future Kurt here. Kateline's correct. Patsy Watkins does technically appear in this episode. However, it's on another news program, so shouldn't she also be listed as archival footage?
She called her ex-boyfriend. She texted him, I'm hiding from the beast.
Although maybe to be archival footage, you got to be dead. Because Hugh Hef and Paula are dead, and they're both listed as archival. Anyway, point is, current Kurt, you're wrong. Kateline, correct.
Well,
what?
I'm ready to go over my list.
Not me. We got to say that there was no trial, correct?
He was never arrested.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
No one was arrested. This episode sucks.
But you know what, though? It was interesting because of the boom shakalaka-ness. The fact that I picked it at one point and then didn't pick it, and then you picked it, and then you agree that it's a stinker. And then also, oh, hey, here's something else I didn't like about Murph Dog in this episode, was how he's like, she loved Barbie so much that she had to become Barbie herself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Paula liked Barbie so much, she tried to become her.
And then they show her in like a green Pontiac, not a pink Corvette.
Yeah.
It's a stretch, Murph. It's a stretch.
Well, because she's blonde? I mean...
All right, time for my list.
Let's have it.
Did it happen in a small town? The kind of place where things like this just don't happen? No. Nope. Miami. Party in the city where the heat is on. All night on the beach till the break of dawn.
There you go.
Florida, you say?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it's Florida.
Uh-huh.
Military? No. But there could be, because the killer's still out there. And maybe...
You know what?
He was in the military.
I'm counting that. You're right. That could be. This is a 2 out of 3. Possible 3 out of 3. It's open-ended.
It's open-ended.
My list, unfortunately, this is my first goose egg. I don't think any of them hit. No signs of a struggle.
No.
No movie.
No.
And no Dateline talk.
No.
None of those things happened.
This episode sucks.
I mean, it's definitely the worst one that we've done. This one is the not best. It's the not best, right? I mean, I didn't...
The not best.
I didn't hate it. I wasn't sitting there going, God, I don't know why we picked this one, right? I just didn't like...
I mean, look.
What?
It's still Dateline.
Yeah. Now we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. And then I was going to say this at the beginning, but I was worried if it killed the mood or something. But I'm about to get real on you, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago, I insulted your texting etiquette. And I'm very sorry.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, I've thought about it a lot. And I've been dying to apologize for it. I've almost called you a few times. But here we are.
That's unnecessary. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think that also says a lot about my texting etiquette.
I think it does.
Then I'm like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Anyway, I'm glad that we're good. I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.